Okay. Okay, hello guys. Thanks for joining us. We're coming to you even though it's late at night for us. We were going to do a live stream last night, but we got really tired. I know we need to set and designate a time for this, but I have something very important that I want to talk to you about. But first, Imabel, she wants to start off this broadcast with a little bit of color. So before we get into the heavy stuff, before we
Hi there, the yellow flowers are saying hi, thank you for joining us, and I hope
Okay,
that
hello
you
guys.
guys
Thanks for
are having a great weekend, and thank you for joining us. We already have some wonderful people in the room.
yeah, thanks guys for joining us. Like I said, I have some I know the last two broadcasts ago we did a little bit heavier, more thought-provoking one. I know a lot of people they don't really know what I do in my spare time or what kind of stuff I think about, what kind of issues I ponder, what takes up my time, and coming out talking about things that are more serious, but the things I really do think about, it shocked a few people, even
Mhm.
upset a few people, and some people, God forbid, told me, Travis, you're spreading fake news. A few people. Now, they may have been shills, they may be paid. They may be some of those paid trolls. How like Hillary Clinton was paying people to go on and argue with people and defend her and things like that.
Really?
So, but I have a very we have some people in the room, but I have a very we'll get to first of all, guys. We'll get to your questions in a minute. I know you guys got good questions, so go ahead and start posting your questions and everything, and we'll get to them. I'm not ignoring you guys. We're going to interact with you guys. We're going to have fun, but I have a very important tip for you guys, a very valuable tip. And that tip is if you don't want people to think that you're a pedophile, don't post creepy photos of other people's children on Instagram and social media. Think about that. If you don't want people to think that you're a pedophile, why post creepy photos of little kids on your social media accounts? And then you can say, oh, it's fake news, man. These people that think I'm a pedophile. But it's like you put this out there for people. But so that's my tip. Don't put out creepy photos of kids tied up and weird things like that. You know, if you want people to think that you're this wholesome guy running an all ages friendly business, running a business that's for children, stop posting creepy photos of kids on your Instagram. And maybe you won't have such a problem with people thinking that you're some sort of weirdo or a pedophile. But that's just my tip. What do I know? Apparently, that's all fake news. I was reading in the Washington Post and the New York Times that it's totally impossible that human trafficking and pedophilia could exist among high powered people in Washington. It's a total impossibility, and human trafficking doesn't exist, at least not with high powered Washington elites. It's totally fake, guys. So there you go. And we had Hillary Clinton just lecture us about fake news. So that's the current buzzword. Uh, so, guys, if you have something to say on the internet, you'd better start saying it before they start implement. This is like the beginning, obviously, of the implementing censorship. And even though I run mostly a wholesome channel and most of my stuff, we keep it clean here, right, Imabel?
Yes.
We don't do too much here that's objectionable even for young people. Maybe once out of every 100 videos or something like that. One for every 100 videos I do, there's maybe one that say, okay, maybe someone under the age of 13 or 14 shouldn't watch that or shouldn't hear that. But we got this fake news, and I've already been. YouTube told me before that that I'm a bit too controversial, and it's kind of like, my God, if you think that I'm too controversial, I don't know what to tell you.
But here's what I want to say. They say it's like they already released a statement saying those are fake news. Did they really? Did they really? Um, did they really conduct thorough, unbiased investigation?
Well, one thing's for certain, there is definitely a lot of fake news out there. No one's denying that. There is a lot of fake news out there. Something that I'd like to point out that would be fake news is after the election when Donald Trump won, of course, Amy Schumer posted something on Instagram. By the way, she said if Donald Trump would win, she was going to move out of the country. It seems that she's not going anywhere. But she posted this thing. It was like a Photoshop thing. There's a picture of Donald Trump, and supposedly it was a quote from a magazine where he said, "If I ever run, I'm going to run as a Republican because their voters are so stupid and easy to fool," something like that. So she posted this, and this went viral. And there was, I think, a disclaimer. There's actually a bigger part of a whole. It's from like a whole like fake article. And then at the bottom, there was like in the fine print, there was a disclaimer, so they can't be sued, of course, just saying this is a joke. Well, first of all, most people are just going to look at the photo with the caption and repost that and stuff. And most people, when they read articles or even for YouTube videos, they look at the title and they just assume that that's the truth and they judge it off that. They don't take the time to read the whole thing, but they put that little disclaimer in there. But Amy Schumer is spreading fake news. And I remember a few years ago here in the Philippines when there was a story that went viral with Nancy Binay. She's some local politician, but they had a fake Time magazine cover where it said the stupidest country in the world to elect the stupidest politician in the world, something like that. And that went viral, but it was from a satirical news site. And it even said on the site, if you actually bothered to read the site, that it's just for comedy, it's just for humor. It said on the actual site, but even all these Filipino celebrities were spreading that. You remember what I'm talking about, Imabel?
Yeah, people are so gullible to just to easily post whatever they see or whatever is spreading on social media
So
without verifying it.
so
And
definitely
that's very common nowadays. Go ahead.
so definitely I don't think anyone's trying to deny that there's not an issue with fake news, but they want it so anything that's not CNN, the Washington Post, the New York Times, things like this, they want anything like that clear. They want that to be considered the only real news. And it's like they almost want to set up a monopoly because they have the competition now from the internet. But there is something, before I get to your guys' questions and comments, guys, there is a story that I want to share with you. And I think that it's very important. And this, I don't know how comfortable you're going to feel about me talking about this, Imabel. And I don't think I told you that I was going to talk about this, but this has really been on my mind, and I shared it with you the other day. There was this video this week from Greg Valentino. Now, it's not on his channel because he has an official YouTube channel where he just talks. It was on some other channel. But Greg Valentino, if you don't know who he is, I believe at one point he had the largest arms in the world. And when
Largest arm.
Yes, at one point I believe he had the largest arms in the world. He's a bodybuilder, and I know a lot of people, he's famous because he had a video that was from a documentary, I think from TLC, where he got an infection in his bicep and he like cut it open or poked it to try and drain it, and it got all messy and gross, and that kind of the clip of that went viral. But also people, when they talk about synthol use, and synthol is an oil that people inject and it puffs them out, makes them look like they have big muscles. People always accuse him of being a big time synthol user, and they say that's how he got those arms, though he says otherwise. He says he was on massive amounts of steroids, but he was not on synthol. That's what he says. So a lot of people, I think, mistakenly accuse him of being a synthol user. Either that or they don't believe that he wasn't using synthol. But anyways, Greg Valentino, he's a very entertaining personality, a brutally honest guy. He's a short little New York Italian American guy, and he kind of has that personality that a lot of those guys have, kind of in a way maybe the stereotypical Joe Pesci type, but very entertaining guy and totally honest. And there was this video, it wasn't on his official channel. I'm not sure the title offhand. It was on another channel. And it's something about, it deals with high society sex. And like, I think if you search YouTube, Greg Valentino Dungeon, or Greg Valentino high society sex. But anyways, the story that he told Imabel, and I don't know how comfortable you're talking about with me talking about this. Imabel is fairly conservative, in case you guys haven't noticed, but I think that this is important to share because basically he kind of got roped into he needed money, he had a baby, and like some other bodybuilder told him there's an easy way to make money and kind of seduced him with that temptation of easy money and kind of guilting him. Come on, you got a baby at home. You shouldn't pass up easy money like this. And is what it was it was in the S&M domination type scene. So he goes with his friend over to this other place. It's kind of a gross story. I won't repeat it here. And they ended up kind of torturing this guy. You kind of have to hear the story, but if you're not into a lot of it would very turn you off, as it probably should turn you guys off. But he ended up doing this, and he's not proud of it, which I think is an important point. But he was brutally honest about the story. He ended up doing this S&M thing for money. But the really telling part, and I think the really important part of his story was when they had the end credits on the video, they kind of were showing an outtake or things that they edited out. And what he said was well, they ended up going over and they ended up basically torturing this guy. They were paid to torture this guy because that's what he was into. And he said something that this guy apparently, he was a very well-known art dealer, very famous in the art world. He would deal with like Hollywood celebrities and even presidents of the United States. So he was a well-connected, well-known guy. And he was into this really weird stuff, this really extreme stuff. And the other important thing, besides him being well known and having these high powered connections to even presidents of the United States, was apparently this guy went to jail because he was doing this S&M thing with another guy at some point, and the guy actually died. So he went to jail for like manslaughter or something like that. So it shows you it can go to that point when people actually get killed that are into this stuff. But I think the most important and most interesting part of the story, and like I said, these parts, they're all kind of after the story as the credits are rolling. The most interesting part was this guy paid him with a check. Instead of just paying him with cash, because he could have easily paid him with cash, he paid him with a check with his real name on it, almost like he wanted to be black, like, something like he set himself up to be blackmailed, like very sloppy. And he was kind of theorizing that he wanted the added humiliation of being publicly exposed to this. So when you hear about things like, say, Pizzagate, when people say, come on, man, they wouldn't actually put these logos and these symbols, on their businesses and stuff like that. People that are often into these scenes, they do things like that. It's almost like either a part of them wants to be caught, and the thrill is that they're being so out in the open with it. So this guy paid him in check with his real name, and he could have easily turned around and blackmailed him, but he theorized that he wanted, like he got that thrill of possibly he could be humiliated publicly with this getting out there. And it reminds me very much of Jared Fogle. If you read about the Jared Fogle case, it's very bizarre because apparently he was very open that he was a pedophile himself. He would go to conventions and stuff, and he would meet basically people that are total strangers and just start telling him about how he's a pedophile just out in the open. And the FBI actually, some woman took it upon herself to befriend Jared Fogle, the former Subway spokesman that is now in jail. She took it upon herself to do the justice herself. So she befriended him even though he was sick, so she could get him to talk about what he does and secretly record it. And she handed these recordings over to the FBI, and they sat on these recordings apparently for 4.5 years before they actually arrested him. That's 4.5 years when he had his freedom and he could go out and harm other people. So it shows you, even though to a normal person, I know some of you guys are normal and wouldn't even consider this stuff, you don't even know that this stuff exists, that some of these things that are unthinkable and that even to you, you'd say, well, if you're doing this, obviously you're not going to use symbols, and you're not going to, you're not going to post weird things on Instagram if you're really guilty of it. It shows you that this is not unique, and it's very common. People that are into these types of scenes, it's like somehow they want to be caught, or the part of the thrill is the thrill that they could get caught, so they like to be so open with it. So that's that was the heavy stuff, but I would recommend people to check out that Greg Valentino video, even though it's not necessarily a pleasant story to hear. And what'd you think of hearing his story? I know you said it was sick.
It was sick. I didn't really, and I ended up not really watching the entire thing. Or I think when I was trying to watch it with you, I was so sleepy. I opted to like just doze off. But still, even if I wasn't sleepy, I think I wouldn't just really watch it. It's so sick. It's so sick, and it blows my mind that there are people doing that. And yeah, I mean, it's not. It's just so sick.
But I think it's important for it to see it. I know the danger of people seeing something like that. The danger is, of course, some people might actually get it curious and get attracted to that lifestyle. But I think most people, especially other guys, maybe young guys that are in that situation, maybe they'll see it from an outside perspective and see that story and say, this is really sick. This is not how I want to be myself. And it will help them avoid that temptation. And I know that especially, and I don't have any experience that I know of dealing with pedophiles or anything like that, but I can tell you there is some sexuality is a weird thing, and there's some people that are, especially when you get into places like Hollywood or Washington D.C. There's some people that are doing some wild stuff that the average people in Middle America that maybe they go to their 9 to 5, they wouldn't even necessarily consider. But there's a lot of things out there that you guys don't know exists. So I just want people to keep an open mind. Am I saying that the Podestas rape and murder people? No, I'm not saying that, but I am saying that it's not impossible, despite what the Washington Post would have us believe. It's not impossible that these people could be into some weird stuff, and that we should keep an eye on these people. We shouldn't pretend like these people are innocent. I was thinking, if I was given a choice, who would I rather leave my kids with? Michael Jackson or the Podestas or James Alefantis? Probably Michael Jackson. I'm like the least convinced actually that he was harming children versus
Well,
them.
whether they say it's fake news or not, it's that the information is out there. It is but a big important reminder for me, for all of us, to really just be extra cautious, especially with our children, to be more discerning of everything that's happening around. Personally, I cannot and should not rely merely on mainstream media, on what the mainstream media feed me, or even other sources of information, because you know these people, these organizations, groups of people, whoever, they have they have their own interests, and not only that, something bigger is going on that we could not even fathom.
Exactly.
So me personally, I don't know how you deal with it.
But,
I really, this is even part of my prayer list.
but this whole Pizzagate thing, I don't know if you saw the video on YouTube. Stephen Colbert from that late night show, he debunked it, except he didn't actually debunk anything. Just labeling something debunked or labeling something faked doesn't mean that that's actually the case. It's funny too because these people that debunk it, they never really address the real questions like Stephen Colbert. But it's funny if you go to his video on YouTube, all the comments, and I saw one comment that was really interesting on the video saying, I came here thinking that this is totally fake and to thumbs up the video and get a laugh. But then this caused me to go actually research it. And now I'm coming back here to thumbs down the video because I think there is something going on. And of course, we don't have proof, where it's definitive, but we have a lot of evidence that it seems like it's too much to be coincidental. Now, are they murdering and raping children like some people are trying to tell you? I'm not going to go that far, but I think that there's enough circumstantial evidence that it's beyond being just a coincidence. I was thinking too, like James Alefantis's Instagram. If you told someone, "Hey, check out this Instagram. What do you think?" Just a normal guy, he would probably look at it and say, "It's a little weird. It's a little creepy." Apparently, he has some kind of inside jokes with his friends, but probably wouldn't really think that much of it, other than it's a little weird. But if you said, "Hey, check out this guy's Instagram. This guy is suspected of being a pedophile," and then that guy looked at it, he'd say, "Oh, well, it makes perfect sense now in that context. It's all right here." Now, are these people doing something criminal? And it goes back to the emails, like the WikiLeaks emails of John Podesta, and there's all these other connections. If you do even 5-10 minutes of research on your own, instead of just reading an article saying it's fake and it's been debunked, instead of just reading that, if you actually did independent research, you'd probably think that even if you don't go to that extreme to think that they're doing these horrendous things, you think that these people at least shouldn't be trusted around children. They're definitely not wholesome guys, like, or victims the way the media tries to spin it. And now Comet Ping Pong has a crowdfunding to hire extra security because they had that guy that went to the restaurant with a gun. And even that seems kind of fishy. Now, is he a concerned citizen that's maybe a little crazy and going about things stupidly? That's possible, as the official story goes, entirely possible and plausible. Or is it something that they planted themselves to make themselves look like a victim, and also to keep putting out these stories where they keep saying fake, it's fake. They keep using that word fake as though they're trying to hypnotize you with it. And there's studies that show the more that people hear something or the more they see something, the more they're convinced it's true. So we don't really know what's going on, but I'm not leaving my kids with those people anytime soon. I'm not hiring them as babysitters.
Of course. Another thing that blows my mind is it's like moving to a way where they want to make this pedophilia some sort of mere sexual orientation, which is really very, 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 very sick, very, oh God, like, how can that be that?
Well, Salon, which is a large publication, or at least on the internet, they've already had a couple articles where they're trying to get sympathy for pedophiles. And also, guys, I want you to understand this isn't a right-wing issue. It's not a left-wing issue. There's people from all sides of the spectrum that are concerned. If nothing else, they're concerned that children could be potentially harmed, instead of like Stephen Colbert that just gets his audience to laugh about it and play it off as a ridiculous notion that these people could be into weird stuff and maybe they should be looked at deeper. Like I said, no one really knows. All people are just speculating in terms of the evidence that's out there. But to say that these guys are victims and innocent, as I was saying, they have that crowdfunding to hire added security guards. Well, the guy that owns that place, GQ magazine named him the 49th most powerful person in Washington, D.C. A guy that owns a pizza restaurant? Why?
Sounds to me like it's just a strategy to
get
draw sympathy.
It is.
Like, why would you need? There are so many.
Those people have a lot of money.
Many issues, social issues, economic issues, problems that have to be addressed in this world. There are so many poor people in this world, impoverished people in this world who would benefit from a crowdfunding. Why would I mean, we have the freedom to have our own crowdfunding, but if you try to to look at it in another perspective, like, do you really need that? I mean, it's to me it sounds unbelievable because they are capable. They can afford to hire people for added security if that's what they need. And the thing is, it's not because I've been watching videos as well and all that. And when you start watching one video, another video, more videos, you you will be able to connect the dots. Like, wow, so this is really happening. Even it happens not only in America, of course, not only
Yeah.
in like
Europe
what
has
they
a
say
lot
in
of
Comet
pedophile
Ping
rings.
Pong, but
Look
in
at Jimmy
Europe and all
Savile
other
and
countries.
the CEO of the New York Times supposedly tried to cover up the pedophile ring of Jimmy Savile, who is a British comedian, British celebrity, who was even knighted by the Queen of England, and it was like an open secret over there in the UK that this guy was a pedophile. He's being knighted by the Queen of England. He's, they're covering it up for him. It was basically an open secret over there. And look at this too, because I know people think if this is true, they would be caught, they would be investigated. Jimmy Savile, it didn't come out until he died. He lived into old age, then he died, and only then did it come out about this. There was another guy, Sigmund Freud's grandson, I believe, same issue, who's also friends with the Podestas, I guess. It came out that he was a pedophile, but after he died. Jared Fogle, look at how long it took to catch him, and so many people actually knew. Supposedly at Subway headquarters, they knew that he was into that because a concerned person came to them that owned a Subway restaurant, just owned one restaurant, and she came and after she met him and he told her, and she said, "Hey, this guy's sick," and they said, "Oh, we know about it, but don't worry, he's getting married and his wife is gonna settle him down." So I know that these are serious issues. I didn't mean to get on this for so long.
Okay, go ahead. I was gonna add something.
And I know some people that say, Travis, just stick to what you do. Well, this is what I do. What you see in my videos, and a lot of my videos, of course, they focus on fun, travel, and life stuff.
Fun, light-hearted stuff, but we
Meant to
still,
make you happy.
yeah, it's it's the style of it is the style of the videos, but the videos are aimed at still sharing, bringing information to you, that helpful information actually. That is why we are not into sugarcoating, because we feel responsible, especially that we know that so many viewers like you guys, we hear from you, we receive emails, we read it on your comments. We get asked a lot of questions about several things. Examples are, is it safe to travel in the Philippines? What to do? What are the fun things to do in the Philippines? Where to stay? And even visa questions, how to get a visa in the Philippines, a visa to for America, and all these other things. So we really feel responsible to to you guys. So we do our best to give accurate information in a way that does not make other things or other places or other people look bad. We're just being truthful, and of course, at the same time, we still would like we also do our best to entertain you and bring inspiration to you as well. Because the truth is, just hearing from you guys continue to inspire us to keep making these videos for you. And can I keep
I
talking
guess.
before we move
So,
on to another
so.
segment?
No, I'm not moving on. I want to say a few
Oh,
other
okay.
things
Go
before we
ahead.
before we
Go
wrap
ahead.
up. Well, I know some people too, like they say, Travis, stick to what you do. But this is what I do. I do know about other things. I have other interests, and I know people think this channel is about the Philippines. It's not about the Philippines. This channel is not called the Philippines. It's called the Travis Craft Channel, and it's basically my personal channel, what I want to do. And I know a few of these have went in a bit more serious direction, but I just want people to consider some other things. And like I say, if you listen to the Washington Post and the New York Times, they would have you believe that human trafficking does not exist. But I think that this opened my eyes, opened a lot of people's eyes that there's a very dark world out there, which I've known about. I've spent a lot of time living in LA and being in the entertainment industry, of course. Now, I wasn't necessarily around people that were doing quite this, at least not to my knowledge, of course. But you hear things, and you know that I just know that things are out there, and I really want to bring up and give a shout out to that video that story that Greg Valentino told. even though it's a sick and gross story, I just I think it really relates to a lot of what's going on, and I kind of wonder if that's part of the reason they posted it, even though they're not directly making a connection to Pizzagate. Especially if you listen to those last parts over the credits, it sure seems that there's some similarities, even though his story's not about pedophilia, it's about S&M, but there was a lot of similarities to it.
Yeah. Well, kind, this kind of stories about pedophilia, human trafficking, child abuse, and all these other things. These are really sad stories to hear. These are really sick. But when I read stories about these issues, it's reality actually. When I watch the videos, when I read articles about these, we also have to make sure that we balance everything that we feed our minds and hearts. Like
Yes.
there are so many crazy evil things going on around this world right now, but of course there are still many beautiful things that God has given us in this world that we surely can continue to appreciate and celebrate. Just celebrate the goodness of her creation, the majesty of her creation, even our families, our job, business, and just everything we can do, just the life we have every day. But at the same time, being having the knowledge about this would also keep us alert, prepared, and really be more discerning about everything, because the sources like the mainstream media or even the internet, whoever, especially whoever is in power authority, they would want to blast you, feed you with whatever, but they could be actually connected to align to their personal agenda. So, you
Okay,
know,
okay, sorry guys, we'll wrap this part of it up. We went off a little bit long on this subject matter, and we already covered that a lot in 2 live streams ago. But I just wanted to give a shout out to that Greg Valentino video, and also if you check the comments on that Stephen Colbert video, there's some pretty funny and actually interesting comments. And I just want to mention that I am definitely concerned about this Hillary Clinton speech and the way that things going with this new buzzword fake news and how it's leading to it's the first step in censoring things. So that's definitely a concern. And it's funny because even though I don't do I don't run a political channel, and I run most of my stuff is pretty wholesome. It seems like often it affects people like us the most that you wouldn't even think, or we're heavily affected by censorship. As an artist, I'm extremely against censorship, and yeah, there is an issue. There is some fake news out there, but I think we gotta let people use their own judgment and discernment as to what's fake, what they should believe, and what not to believe. It's like, what is Hillary Clinton trying to say? The public is too stupid. She did call millions of people deplorable, and now she's basically saying they're too stupid to know what's real and what's fake. The only thing that's real are stories that make Donald Trump look bad and make her look good. Anything that makes her look bad, it's fake news, guys. So that's a big concern. We don't want a censored internet like in China, definitely, or like these, in some of these other countries. So that's a real concern as a creator and as an artist myself. But let's lighten it up a little bit, guys. Sorry, I'm going to get to your guys' questions and comments, and we'll have some fun now. So, okay, that's out of the way. We got people joining us from Norway. Rolf from Norway. We got Adam in the room. We got Rolf says, "You look lovely, Ima."
thank you so much,
Yes,
Ralph.
yes, you do. Uh, Jim Cunningham says, "Hi, Ima Bell." Don't I get a hello,
Hi,
guys?
Jim Cunningham. It's
No,
fun.
no related to Richie Cunningham from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, are you?
I
Happy
had a
days?
friend from from Guam. His last name is Cunningham.
I don't think he's from Guam. He's
Yeah, he lived
originally
in
lived in
Guam,
Guam.
but he was originally from, I can't remember the state.
The mainland
The main,
United
yeah,
States.
it's in mainland.
Let's see here. Someone says, I want to make short movies. Please tell me what to do.
That's from Midnight State Show.
Well, you better get a camera of some kind and maybe a microphone if it's to record good audio, depending what kind of movies you want to make, and get a computer to edit. And this doesn't have to be top of the line stuff, especially as you're starting out. Just take whatever you have access to, even if it's only a cell phone, if that's all you can get your hands on. Even if that's not ideal, what's important is that you start, and your first stuff is probably going to be mostly bad. I know a lot of my first stuff actually went viral and I had tons of success with. That's not typical, so don't get discouraged, but just start, man. That's the most important thing. It's kind of like working out, too. Even if you don't know where to begin, you don't have a personal trainer, just begin. And yeah, you might make some mistakes, but you'll learn as you go along. Sometimes when you're trying new things, you're going to make mistakes, but you have to get those out of the way. So the sooner you start, the better, regardless of whatever it is. Um,
Someone said, "Hi, Iman Travis. Hi, back to you, Catherine here."
Asian Pro Vlogger says, sup guys, been a long time. I don't get notification, even though I'm subscribed and clicked the bell to get notifications. YouTube is broken. Yeah, there's definitely an issue with that going on. A lot of big YouTubers are talking about they're losing subscriptions or people don't get the notifications. Uh, just check my channel from time to time. Check me out on Instagram, Facebook, and try and stay updated. And maybe check my channel. I've been uploading a lot lately, and yeah, there's definitely an issue that YouTube is in denial about, but other people have kind of proved it's an issue. It's almost like the Hillary Clinton campaign, even though it's proven that things are wrong, like, nope, nothing to see here. Everything is fine, guys. Uh, Someone says, please put your shirt on. We are both wearing shirts, so I don't know who you're
Are
talking.
you really
So I don't.
watching this live stream or you're
I
just watching something else?
they're watching some sort of porno video apparently, and got confused. You pervert. Hopefully, it's not some of the videos that the Podestas are into.
Just kidding. Let's see. Okay, let's see.
Hi from Maryland. Well, hello from the Philippines to Maryland.
That's from Waru Be Cool.
Let me see here. Preach it. I'm trying to do my best to make the world a better place. I don't always succeed at that, but no one's perfect.
We can do it. We can always do
So
our part.
here's a good one. Let you go ahead and read that.
From Danny A. Let me start by thanking you for all the stuff you share about the Philippines. You're welcome. Sadly, I didn't find about your channel before I got married to my wife in the Philippines. Now I follow you everywhere. You're a stalker. I'm joking.
That's a great comment. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much.
That's really great to hear.
It's
How's everything going with your wife? How's that
yeah,
working
please
out for
send our
you?
best to your wife as well.
Because I'm curious, because he says, sadly, I didn't find out about your channel before I got married to my wife.
It's okay.
Now, does that mean sadly I didn't find out? Like he needed some sort of warning? Did it not work out? Because of the way he phrased it, I'm kind of curious.
You should not be sad because the videos that we have on the channel, I'm sure you still enjoy them, and hopefully they will still also help you. So
Let me see here. I'm scrolling down through these because we missed. I know a lot of these guys reacted to what I'm talking about, and I appreciate. I'm trying to get off that topic.
this is very interesting, though, from David Purse. This is a reaction to the topic we had on our first segment. He said pedophilia has been undergoing a new classification in the psychiatry community over the last couple of years. They are trying to reclassify it as an alternative lifestyle. Oh, scary. That's scary. But
No, that's true. That's what you mentioned
I
actually.
know.
And you're just kind of seeing the beginnings of that.
Yeah, but see, there's this. I'm not sure who among you are Christians, but I'm a Christian. One of God's word that just comes to mind whenever I hear these stories is that we really have to put on the armor of God because we battle not against blood and flesh, but against principalities, you know, from this some power of darkness and evil. So
And I'll say this too, a lot of people are not what they seem. What about, and what more for these people that are very secretive, like the Podestas, and do have kind of a lot of shady connections if you really look into them, as much as you can see that's known about them. Now, does that mean they're actually criminals? No, not necessarily. And of course, some of this stuff, it could just be they have weird tastes in art. It could be that James Alefantis on his Instagram, he said it's just jokes. Now, these could be just jokes. That's entirely possible. Uh, Maybe he has a sick sense of humor, a dark sense of humor. A lot of people are like that. And that's not something that's criminal by any means, nor should it be. But the point is, these could be clues, especially when there's so much of them, to something bigger that we should keep an eye on. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that they full out murder and rape children, of course, but just to be safe, people should keep an eye on them. At least, I feel like we should at least safely be able to say these guys are sick creeps. Now, that's not a crime, but so that's enough of that stuff. Let's go on to a happier topic. It's becoming Christmas, so I want to wish you guys all a very Merry Christmas wherever you are.
Merry Christmas!
But as I said last time, I am trying to get into the Christmas spirit because normally I don't celebrate Christmas. And the reason I don't celebrate Christmas, well, first of all, Christmas, let's face it, it's mostly a holiday for kids. And once you become an adult, it becomes a lot less fun somehow. Once you stop getting toys.
It's just really it's just a matter of attitude and
So,
perspective.
yes, so I'm trying to get a different attitude and really get much more into the spirit this year. We did a little bit of Christmas shopping this week. We were in Green Hills. We need to go a few other places. We're going to be making a trip. Uh, so I'm looking forward to Christmas. I'm doing my best to get in the Christmas spirit. I'm trying not to be a Scrooge this year by any means. I'm going to be full out Christmassy, at least as Christmassy as I can be, which should be pretty easy to improve on the way I've been doing it the past several years. I'd really like to be with over the holidays and stuff, not necessarily just Christmas, but it'd be nice to see my grandparents. And I was thinking about my grandparents. I think about my grandparents a lot these days. And my grandparents, they've been married for over 70 years now. And I see some of these people, like some of these people on YouTube, and they're really fakes. This is kind of what I was alluding to earlier. And you'll see, and I'm thinking of some people specifically, at least in the United States. I don't think I'm talking about anyone here. That, but people in the United States, I heard someone, they said, "Oh, my marriage is doing so great," and I feel like that's kind of a weird thing to say. Usually, if people that have good marriages, they don't feel the need necessarily to broadcast that and come out and tell people that. But things are never going to be perfect. My grandparents, they've been married over 70 years, and I don't think they would ever describe things as being totally perfect in their relationship, even though things are really good, obviously, especially if they're going to spend time. And I talked a couple live streams ago about my grandma, partly why they stayed together so long, about how women are of a different generation. And I think my grandmother in particular is special, even for women of her generation, but it was a different breed and they didn't have those temptations that women have these days.
Right.
Because there's just so many temptations out there with the internet. And it's kind of like I was talking about earlier when I was referencing that Greg Valentino video about maybe if some guys that are similar, like a young guy now in, maybe it can help them avoid the temptation of getting sucked in by the lure of easy money. So that's why I think it's a good thing to put out there. And Terrence Brown says Malagayang Pasko. Sa Mula, Washington D.C. Malagayang Pasko. That means Merry Christmas. So thank you for that, Terrence.
Thank you, Terrence. Terrence is part of our Patreon family. Thank you so much.
James Brophy says a real spruce or pine Christmas tree in the Philippines through a balakbayan box. This is a Christmas miracle. Now I think you can get those, but I guess right, you can get those like from Baguio probably. They probably bring them down from Baguio. Do they grow like real Christmas trees up north in Baguio?
Pine trees. They have pine trees there.
But and do people buy those as Christmas trees even in Metro Manila?
I'm not sure. That's not really a common thing. The most common Christmas trees we have here in the metro in Manila, or even in the provinces, we just buy the plastic Christmas tree, and then we just
Those
decorate
can be
it
nice
with stuff.
too.
You know what? Because it's more practical.
Of course.
You can just keep it after Christmas season, and then put it back when it's Christmas time. So, but I would want to experience having a real tree, Christmas tree. Oh, actually, when I was in grade two, I was a very cute kid then. Anyways, there you go. Our teacher, our teacher sent my male classmates, the boys, in a class, to get a small tree with but they already removed they dried up that small it's like a short shrub or tree, whatever you call that, and then I think they dried it up and they removed the leaves and they painted it with white. So the tree does not have any leaves. They just painted it with white, and then we just hung different, stuff on it, bells, and we put like the star on top of it, and anything that you could put on a Christmas tree. See, I can still remember my grade two days, and that Christmas tree was cute. I think I still have a class picture from that from my from my grade two class in my photo album in my hometown, in my home. Well, Travis is taking a short break, so while I'm here with you,
I'm just in the kitchen.
I think I'm going to
I'll be right
send a shout out to some of you guys that we haven't said hi to you hi yet. You know what? I actually was sleepy when I got home. And then
she went to church.
Travis, yeah, we were not able to go on a Sunday together because we ate and then he had to come back. He had to come back home sooner than me. So I decided to go to church on my own today. And so when I came home, we ate again. That was dinner. And suddenly I just felt sleepy. So I took a nap, and we were supposed to have this live stream.
Well, we woke up really early this morning because we got a delivery. A little Christmas present for ourselves.
And watch out for the vlog featuring that.
Maybe in the next day or two. I got kind of a busy schedule with work this week, and I might be working long hours. Like, hopefully it's not like 15-hour days or something like that. But I got to work several days this week, and they could be very, very long days, like 15, 16 hours. Hopefully not that long. I don't think it'll be that long. But when I'm doing that, definitely I can't edit any video when I have to work those long hours. But I want to say something going back to the Christmas tree that I didn't get to say. I actually told you this like a week or two ago when we were in the store and saw the plastic Christmas trees. And I think the plastic Christmas trees can be nice. I like those too, but I remember as a kid we used to go and get Christmas trees. I was telling Imabel about. My dad would take us and we'd pick out a Christmas tree. We never got those really like thick evergreen trees. Those were always like expensive. We'd get like the cheaper ones, the skinnier ones. They were like, I think, a different breed of tree, but they were the much cheaper one. But we used to put those in the house and then decorate them, of course. And then in January, sometime you end up throwing it out when the tree starts to go bad and it starts to get old and it's really dying. So, but it really makes the house smell nice when you have a real Christmas tree in it.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us, Asian Pro Vlogger, by the way. Um,
Someone
we
retracted their messages. I didn't see what those messages were, so I guess I'll never know. But I didn't. I see the things. Someone deleted their messages,
it's
but
okay. You can
it's
type it
okay.
again. Danny Danny A already left a comment earlier. He said he's following you. He's following us everywhere now, and he's already married. So he clarified it. He said, "What I meant is that it could have saved me time, but we are very happy together.
Okay.
Congratulations! So glad to hear that.
Congratulations.
I have been once only to the Philippines and have plans to invest in a condo. Is the Philippines safe to invest in? That's actually one of the things that I've been discussing with Travis.
Invest in a condo or some other type of investment. I assume he's talking about
I was
just
talking,
condo investment.
yeah, condo, like to buy a condo. That's his question.
Yeah, it's safe to buy a condo here.
Yeah, just make sure that your agent or whoever you're dealing with is also trustworthy, and you could try to shop around. You could research, and so you'd have options. You could weigh options before you really decide which is which.
There's a
And
lot of options to
yeah,
consider.
and
That's
if
the
you
thing.
could, you know, just maybe you could choose the best that would fit your needs and all other factors that you have to
And are you going to
consider.
live in this condo? Is that why you're buying it, or if you are you buying it as a rental property? Those are also a lot. There's a lot of things to consider depending how you intend to use it. If it's to
Here's
live in versus rent.
yeah, people here, people buy it because to live in it, but there are also many people who buy the condo just as an investment. They would rent it out because they don't need to live there. It's either they are living abroad outside the Philippines or they have another house in the same city or they live in another area. So that's what they do. But if you would also like to have a place to stay in when you're in the Philippines, because most of the time you stay outside the Philippines or maybe in another area of the Philippines, then that would also be good because you could still rent it out for short-term leases. Yeah, you could still do short-term leases.
But you got to be careful. There's issues with renting out your place to other
Yeah, that's
people.
another thing that you have to be extra careful. I
And you
just
have to be somewhat discriminating, I think. I used to rent out apartment buildings. That's how I have some inside information in these areas. Definitely do your best to use your discernment when who you're renting out to. You got to use your brain and use judgment what type of people you're renting out to. You don't want people to come in there and damage or do illegal things, something that could get you in trouble somehow. But damaging is the big thing when you rent out. That's why you should probably get a security deposit. I don't usually give security deposits when I rent because I know the other side of it. A lot of the times the owners will find ways not to give you one. So usually I talk when I rent an apartment. This goes for anywhere in the world I am. I usually talk to them, let them know I'm trustworthy and I'm not going to damage their place because I'm paranoid about giving security deposits as a renter that you're probably not going to get it all. You're not going to get it back, at least not all of it. A lot of the times, I used to work for a guy, even if they would leave the apartment spotless, they'd leave it as good or better than when they rented it. He would try and find excuses of why they couldn't give the deposit back. So someone else that worked for this guy in the office, they told me, if the tenant's a good tenant, just tell them don't pay their last month's rent because the owner doesn't want to give back the deposit. So just don't. I said, aren't they going to report that in their credit and get a bad credit rating because of that? And the guy said, they don't bother with that. So if the guy's a tenant that you think is actually going to leave the apartment in good condition and you don't want him to get screwed over, just tell him not to. So I have a lot of paranoias about that stuff from working in it firsthand when I when I used to rent out apartments in Los Angeles.
But one important reason we have is that most leases are good for 1 year, like long term. So
I don't rent long
that does
term
not
either.
really that does not really apply to us most of the time. So we what we do is we negotiate with the agent or the owner of the condo or the apartment, and thankfully we come into terms. We both parties agree to everything, and so far it has always been a very harmonious um, arrangement, transaction, and dealing with people we've been dealing with when it comes to apartment rental.
I want to get to this. I've been wanting to talk about this because we've been talking about other things. But someone says, "Do women?" This is an interesting question or comment. Do women get embarrassed when wearing tights in public? I've seen tons lately. Well, let me ask you this: where are you living that you've seen tons of women wearing tights? Because it's definitely, yeah, you see a lot of that definitely around here in the Philippines. It's a big fashion trend, a big fashion craze. But I know it's big in the United States, Canada, Europe, with the yoga pants and the tights and the leggings. It's super popular with women. The only place I think in the world right now it's probably not popular, I would imagine, is probably the Middle East. But I think that's kind of a worldwide fashion trend, and you definitely see it a lot around here. So, do women get embarrassed when wearing tights in public? I've seen lots lately. Well, I don't think me personally can answer if women get embarrassed, but you have some of those workout pants.
Yeah, I wear them
What do
for
you think?
workout. I think women wear it not only because
You're
it's
not really to the point of being sleazy like some of these women. It
oh
goes right up their
no,
butts.
you know what? Here you know this. Whenever we buy tights, leggings, I always make a point that it doesn't look sleazy. That's a no. I mean, like you wear it because it's for comfort, especially when you go work out, or just on casual.
It's
When you
athletic wear.
yeah, when you go out, it's very comfortable. You can easily run, walk, whatever you do to move, especially when you're in a hurry with whatever you're doing when you're running errands and all that. So it's not even trying to be personally. That's my thing. It's not even trying to be sexy.
I just think it's nice workout clothing. I think it's a good thing because when people were wearing the big baggy workout clothes, I mean, you want something that's nice, form fitting. It makes them look like athletes. I think whether they're male or female. Like you see the my dad always talks about this. You see the male basketball players wearing these oversized shorts and stuff, and it just makes them look ugly and sloppy. They don't look like it's not very athletic looking when you see someone wearing that. It just looks sloppy and it's not flattering to their bodies. And athletes, they have these great bodies. So I just think that the yoga pants trend. Yeah, I know some women get a little crazy with it, and it goes into every nook and cranny. I'm not complaining about that either, personally, of course, but I think it's nice. I think it's okay. Maybe they're kind of teasing some of these guys, just as long as those women don't wear these provocative outfits, and then they see a guy looking at their butt or something and say, "Oh, you pervert! You're sexually harassing me." It's like, well, what do you expect, because I have a feeling, some women they like to show their boobs up, and then they'd be like, "Oh, you're looking at my boobs, you pervert." It's like, well, yeah, you're showing them off. That's really what they want, and then they complain about it.
Did
So
that
just
happen to you?
has that happened to me? I'm trying to think. I don't believe it has happened to me that a
Unless
woman
they
has
would,
complained that I
unless they
looked at
just
her.
really would want your attention on
Yeah, do women,
it.
even the women that do complain, they want the attention, and they're complaining just to get more attention. But has a woman actually ever complained to me for looking at her body or something, or looking at her in a certain way like that? I Not that I can recall. No, I don't think it's ever happened to me. But I know it happens to a lot of guys, and I hear a lot of guys talking about it. So
Wow, thank you for answering my question. There's a comment from Optical Illusions. I
That's a
enjoy
good
your
one.
channel. I have been to the Philippines a few times and always felt welcome. And thank you for sharing your life on YouTube. You are welcome, Optical Illusions. And Danny added
Well,
some
thanks for
information.
enjoying our life.
Yeah, Danny A added another comment to start with. To start with, live in it while visiting. Maybe rent it while not there. Either her family or someone else would handle it. And in the future, retire and move to the Philippines. That will work. Just make sure whoever takes care of it when you're not around will
That's what they want to do, is what they're saying, what
is
they want to
really
do.
capable of taking care of it excellently.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. You
And
can do all that.
a condo will work for you because according to our agent, you could actually own a condo even if you're not Filipino. It can be it can be under your name. That's according to him, but you cannot own a house and lot, like a lot. Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
under your name.
that's a good point. If you're not from this country, you cannot own property here. However, apparently you can own a condo unit. You just can't own the land that's on. So you can't buy a house because it's on land, but you can own a unit, a condo unit. You just can't own land, basically.
Okay.
Hopefully that clears it up for you.
Yeah, but maybe Danny A. When I actually have because I also work with people who um who are into real estate. I will be starting doing some business with them as well. Maybe one of these days we could, or for people like you, we could also provide assistance.
Yeah.
We're looking into that as well because we've been getting questions actually from viewers, just like what you asked about condos and all that, especially like, choosing the area, the location of the condo. I actually have a video that I haven't released yet on my YouTube channel where I talked about, where I gave some pointers on the location and where to stay in the Philippines, but basically for your vacation. But that's applicable to choosing a place for when you move to the Philippines as well.
And Delante Vlog Show says, Magandang gabi at umaga mga kaibigan. What are your thoughts of 2016 and what can we expect for 2017? But what are your thoughts for 2016? I'm trying to think.
Delaney Vlog Show,
I haven't been asked
thank
that
you so
before.
much. That's a lot to ponder on, but right after I read your question, my thoughts on 2016 is 2016 has been a productive year for us, and I'm thankful for that. And for 2017, we're gonna have, it's best to set goals, big goals, so we can be guided along the way. And all I can say is I keep counting my blessings. I keep thanking God for everything that He has blessed us this year and even in the coming years.
Well, 2016, I would say it's definitely had its ups and downs, but that's life. You're going to have ups and downs for forever. And one thing, it's almost scared me because lately it seems like things have gone pretty good for me and for us. And that almost kind of scares me because I'm like, we're having a. It's not that we're having the most amazing time ever in life, but it's pretty good. We don't really have too much to complain about right now. We're pretty comfortable for the most part. But like I said, that kind of scares me because like, oh, like, so I'm just hoping things stay really good.
I completely understand you, Travis, but whether it's good or bad, whether it's positive or negative, we can always be very thankful. We can always dwell on the positive. We can continue to expect for the best. And that's not because of we only do our part, we do our best to do our part, but because that's also grace
Yeah, things have been
from the Lord.
things have been pretty decent lately. You know, not and things could be. It seems like things could. You can always say, oh, they could always be better. Oh, I could always, no matter how much money you get, oh, it's never enough. No matter how much good stuff you get, oh, it's never enough sometimes. But things have been pretty good. What's in store for 2017? Well, I don't have a crystal ball. Some things I have on my mind, but I'm kind of keeping it close to myself for now because I want to surprise you
That is
with
what
it.
the best thing to do is watch out.
So, yeah, well, I'm hoping to have a few surprises for you. Uh, so we'll see. And life always throws unexpected things your way, both good and bad.
Yeah,
So,
even in our families, there were things not so nice things also happened, but thankfully everything went well. Remember,
yeah.
the most important
My
thing,
grandmother's been cheating death like a maniac. Like,
yeah,
she's
on
like,
your side, my
yeah,
side, we have all these, rough roads, but what's important is the destination and what you learn, what makes you out of that circumstance. And yeah, you should have I mean, what do you call this? I'm just gonna sleep. You should have gone with me to the church because the message is so very, very empowering and very timely for many people. There's beauty in defeat. Go ahead.
well, yeah, but I was thinking about my grandma, like kind of that point that I was getting to, how she's been cheating death, not even just recently, but this has been going on probably for like 20 years or something. Like there's been a lot of times when they thought she's gonna die, and she just comes back, better somehow. Like, and they're, oh, she lived, and now she's even doing better than she was before. So, uh, but definitely my grandparents, they're getting up there. They're in their 90s. So, Imabel's definitely going to have to meet them in the near future, of course. And of course, unfortunately, my grandparents being in their 90s, it's not like they can come here. You guys saw my parents come here last year, but my grandparents, of course, they can't do something like that at their age. It'd be too tough for them. But yeah, well, we're looking forward to that definitely. One of my big regrets, I think, in life as I got older is my grandfather's very into hunting and fishing. Those are his passions in life. But me, I'm not really an outdoor guy. I'm more of an indoor artist guy my whole life. So I never went hunting with my grandpa. I went fishing with him a couple times as a kid, but I wasn't into it. He really loves ice fishing too, and I hated ice fishing because it's just so cold. But yeah, I regret that I didn't do that. Not because I'm so interested in those activities, of course, just to spend time with him doing what he loves to do. And my grandpa, he's in his 90s. He still goes hunting every year. He goes deer hunting, and I believe he still goes ice fishing. But my dad would always go hunting with him, and my dad's not particularly into hunting either, but he does it because that's what his dad likes to do. So it's kind of a special bonding experience for him, and unfortunately, I think it's probably too late for me to get in on that. So it's kind of a regret. So if you got grandparents or parents, be a little bit more open-minded in terms of doing activities with them that they love to do, even if it's not your thing.
Right. We cannot take back lost time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry guys, I'm feeling the sleepy head is
All
trying to
right.
take over me, but I'm still with you. I'm still here.
And I got off thinking about my grandmother. I got off on a little tangent there. So, but you guys are free to still get in your questions and comments. We will be sleeping in the morning, of course. You might want to pause that. She's playing a video like in the background. But I'm
I
worried
didn't
it's
play
gonna.
it. It just automatically played.
I'm
So
worried that it's gonna slow down the
yeah,
internet.
I'm
That's
sorry
why.
about
And I already have to stream these at low resolution. This dang Philippines internet. So, but go ahead and get your
that. Joseph Allen said, "Merry Christmas, Travis and Ema. Merry Christmas to you as well.
Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas." Um, and here's another thing. I'm still looking forward to what Trump will really do, or did he start it already? Because before the election,
Well, he can't start it. He's not the
I
president yet.
know, I know, but just wondering, like, really just little things that he might have already started. He said when he becomes president, it's gonna be Merry Christmas and not just Happy
Oh,
Holidays.
well, that has started.
And
Yeah,
that's good news.
that has started. Like the war, the so-called war on Christmas. Now, maybe they make too big of a deal off of that, but I don't know. I'm kind of fine with it either way. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas. Except no one likes when they tell you that you're not supposed to say Merry Christmas.
Even
Like,
for
I'll say
Christmas
what I
cards,
want.
because I went to the bookstore to buy Christmas cards. There are only a few cards where you could really see Christmas in it or Merry Christmas. Most of them are, you know, holidays, happy holidays, Yuletide season, and all that. So yes, they're trying to be politically correct, but the real essence is lost because we are really celebrating Christmas. Anyways,
And New Year's. So I always assume that's where Happy Holidays come in because
I
especially if
guess
you're saying in November, because you're gonna have Thanksgiving, Christmas, and then New Year's, and we still have Christmas and then New Year's ahead of us. So
hmm
I'm not really into New Year's. I know a lot of people get into it. It's not really my thing. But the only holiday I like to celebrate is Halloween. It's my favorite holiday. And that's not unique either. That's become such a popular holiday for adults now, which of course it used to be a kids only holiday. So, but I get into that. It's the one day of the year you can dress however you want to dress and it's all okay.
oh, okay, but not the super short, super skimpy clothing.
I don't mind that.
Yeah, he doesn't mind.
I don't mind that. We
Anyways,
got a question here saying, "Where do you live in Manila?" My goodness, man, we just did a video like this week
you
talking
must have
about that.
missed it.
We just did a video this very week
Check it
talking about
out.
that. So,
Check it out. What's the name of the? Let me see. Um, Danny asked again, is life easy to get used to in the Philippines for someone moving from abroad? What kind of person should not consider moving there?
I have a video about that too. Why it's called, it's actually somewhat one of my more popular videos in a way. It gets a lot of interaction too. I have a video called Why You Should Not Move to the Philippines. And this is addressed to a lot of people that, because I get so many questions and comments from guys that are very naive and they have the wrong idea. And I think they're moving to the Philippines for the wrong reason. And if you move somewhere for the wrong reason, well, you're not going to be happy. Now, you might be happy for a little while. You might be happy for a few months or a year or whatever. But then you're just going to get into your old ways. And I can't tell you how many guys I've seen here that move here and they become alcoholics. They just get really bored after a while, and that's a very kind. You'll see guys like from other countries drinking already at like 10 a.m. and it's like, what the heck? You can't even wait till it gets dark. You're already, it's like not even lunch yet, and you're already throwing them back. So that's a little crazy, but so watch that video why on my channel why you should not move to the Philippines, or just type that into the YouTube search, and that will address what kind of person should not consider moving there. But the other part of his question is life easy to get used to in the Philippines from someone moving from abroad, from someone that's another nationality? Well, is it easy to get used to? It depends on the person.
Yes.
For some, it would be. For some, no.
It depends on your level of comfort that you're used to. It
Yes.
depends on
I was just going to address that because I was going to say one
the
thing is it depends how much money you're looking to
yeah.
spend. If you have a lot of money, it's
It
a lot
also
easier.
depends on the area where you will decide to live in the Philippines. You and as a follow up to that, that other factors would be the food that's available. If you live in a rural area or a
Yeah.
province, would you can expect a lot of restaurant food options there that a Westerner like you might would want to have, unless you cook it yourself. But of course, it's always better when you can just go to the restaurant and eat, especially if you don't have time or you just want to relax and enjoy your food without worrying about cooking and all that. But of course, your wife can cook for you for sure. So that would be a that would be a great thing.
I think a lot of the problems you see too is from when people try and move to more rural areas or some small town and they end up really bored after a while, or they don't have the options of the food they want to eat, or they get sick somehow or have some sort of accident and they need a hospital, but there's not a decent hospital around. They can't get the proper health care. So those are all things to think about.
If someone who has to go to the hospital every now and then, or just if this person has some health concerns, it is best to stay in an area with good hospitals around.
One thing I hear a lot from guys, like a kind of a complaint, is they marry a woman. A lot of the times too, it's when they marry them. They marry a woman, and in the begin, there's a language barrier, and in the beginning, they don't really mind the language barrier so much, but after living together for a while, they end up feeling really lonely and really bored with their spouse. That's why, like, especially a lot of times when you go to the province or just seeing other foreign guys, like seeing guys from other countries, they want to be with, like, whenever they see someone that they think speaks English, they want to approach them and they want to make friends with them because they're so lonely. They end up with someone, especially when they marry someone, and then after, a couple of years or whatever, maybe not even that long, that, geez, I'm kind of bored with this person. I can't have a deep or meaningful conversation with them because we don't speak English on the same level. And you, of course, you were an English teacher at a university even, so you speak great English. But even so, it's funny because sometimes watching TV with you, it's funny when you watch American TV shows with someone that speaks good English like him, but speaks great English like her,
Thank you.
but they didn't grow up in the United States. You start to realize how much things are in our shows that are cultural, that even if someone speaks perfect English, they will never understand because it's cultural.
It's like this. There's like some subtleties that I wouldn't get. It's
Not
just,
even subtleties. A lot of the times, a whole joke or a
I
whole
guess.
topic will be like it's something that no one that's not from the United States could ever understand. Like I think we were watching Last Man Standing last night, and they mentioned Peyton Manning, and it was part of the joke. And she's like, going, "What's that? Who's that?" How could someone from another country know who Peyton Manning is, know who Peyton Manning is. That's all, that's someone they totally have to be part of American culture and from the United States. How many people from other countries, even if they're English speakers, are going to get that reference? Kind of like what we did that tour with the British guy, and he had all these references and stuff that only someone from Britain would understand the references or know what he's talking about because he'll reference someone like maybe a local celebrity over there in Britain, but if you're not British, you'll have no idea. You won't you won't understand.
Yeah, Asian Pro Vlogger, thank you for joining us, and thank you for watching the videos as well.
So,
Yeah, well, I guess cultural difference is another factor. Um, Even see another example. English. You have American English, you have British English. Even you guys, there are still words or, you know, whenever you speak with each other, there are still times that you would not really understand each other perfectly. By the way,
Yeah, even a lot of Americans, I don't understand them so perfectly. A lot of Americans, they talk funny, they have like regional accents, or they just kind of mumble and slur their words together.
mumble.
Imabel wants to go to Hawaii though.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, I thought of that after watching Elvis Presley movies.
We were watching some Elvis movies. He made a few movies over there in Hawaii. He had that one big concert that was the first worldwide broadcast, which he had Elvis Aloha from Hawaii. Warubiku says, "Okay, guys, I took the leap and became a Patreon. It will start January 1st. This is the only vlog channel I will be donating to. Check
Oh,
my Insta, Warubiku, and my
Twitter. Is it Twitter?
I think he means Twitch channel, which
Oh, okay.
I think that's for people that play video games and do videos about it.
Wow, Warubiku,
So
thank you so much. And in advance, we'd like to welcome to our Patreon family. And by the way, to you guys who might be wondering, it's patreon.com/craft. We have this Patreon campaign where you, our Patreon family members, get to support us to keep making videos for you guys. Videos that entertain you, inspire you, inform you, and we're doing our best because all these heartwarming messages and feedback we get from you keep inspiring us to keep doing it. Go ahead.
we
What are you
have
going to say?
Chito Custodio says, reality check, there is no such there's I think they mean there's no such thing as perfect culture.
Of course.
Yeah, and there's definitely no perfect people. I
There's
know I'm not.
there's even for relationships. Nothing's perfect.
Yeah, one of the things that
You just have to work it out together.
one of the things I've always hated about that's part of the reason we don't try and like flaunt or exploit our relationship and stuff is because some of these channels that do stuff, they always have to paint a very unrealistic perspective or like an unrealistic picture of what a relationship is, how oh they're the perfect couple and stuff like that. Anyone that's real and actually been in a serious relationship of any kind knows that that simply doesn't exist. Even with your parents, like you might love your mother, you might love your father. Is that really a perfect relationship though? Or do you occasionally fight with your mom and dad even if you love them? Of course.
Yeah, because you can't expect everyone to agree on every single thing, you know, but of course you can still find a way to keep a harmonious relationship.
He says that he says come see the South Side of Chicago, USA. So I like they put Chicago, USA as opposed to like Chicago, Russia. But
Is there
is that?
Chicago in
I'm
Russia?
just joking. But you put
Hello.
Chicago, USA. Yeah, I would assume that's the Chicago he's
Unless
talking about. But
unless there is Chicago
uh,
Street in the
he says,
Philippines.
come see the South Side of Chicago, USA. That's culture there. Try the hood language. Are you in Chicago there, Cheeto? I've been to Chicago, not for many years though, but Chicago, of course, it's probably one of the most dangerous cities in the United States. So I've been there a couple times to Chicago. I didn't love it, but it's been a while since I've been to those parts.
Ronnie Rodriguez, thank you for joining us. Also, Nasser Al Sharji.
Yeah, I can't. I think the last time I've been to Chicago must have been when I was in college. Would have been the last time that I visited Chicago. Um, Mostly I'm in LA and California. I don't really get back to North Dakota to visit my parents that much, but we'll remedy that with Imabel so she can visit grandma and grandpa. And because she talks to like she's talked to Grandpa and stuff, but on Skype. But it's not really the real experience having to do it through Skype like that, especially for an older person. I think that for Grandpa and Grandma to take Imabel in and fully get a good understanding of what she's about, you got to do it in person.
Yeah, that's true. And I look forward to meeting Grandma and Grandpa.
Yeah, Grandma and Grandpa in their 90s. There's not a lot of people that live to be that
I would,
age.
I would love Grandma and Grandpa, your grandparents, meet my grandma, because they're like of the
Almost the
same
same age, yeah.
generation. They're of the same generation. They just live in different countries.
Yeah, they just live on opposite ends of the planet Earth, so
Yeah,
maybe they weren't destined to meet. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been born so far apart
but
from each
but
other.
my grandma has nice stories about
Yes,
the times when I mean during the American regime in the Philippines. She got to witness
and the Japanese
the
regime
Japanese
and
regime
the Phillies.
and
She
the
has some
American
stories
regime.
about that too.
Yeah. So far the stories about the American regime were very interesting. They were very nice.
How's your grandma
She has
feel about?
fond memories about.
She generally likes Americans,
Yes.
depending on the Americans.
She one of her stories was, she liked it whenever American soldiers bring some, goodies. They give us the American soldiers would give them, food, chocolates, whatever, stuff like that. So
Well, those are good stories. It's nice to hear that some Americans
yeah,
did some good
she
things.
also has
Some
stories.
Americans have done some bad things in the world too, but of
Yeah,
course that's
nothing's
natural.
perfect. No
Yeah.
one's perfect. She also told me the story about how they had to run to the jungle, hide there whenever the Japanese soldiers were in the area where they live. So, just very interesting stories to hear from a grandma like mine.
Yeah.
It's a blessing that she's still around.
Yeah, most people, of course, when you live to be that old in the 90s, that's far below in pretty much every country I can think of. That's got to be above the average life expectancy. And life has got to be tough when you're that old, especially if you're like my grandpa who spent a lot of time working physically, wearing certain body parts out like his knees and his hips when he was building, people that have those type of physical manual labor jobs and getting injuries and stuff like that.
Yeah. Guys, if you were not able to join us from the beginning of this live stream, I'm hoping that the recording is perfect so you can still catch up what you missed by simply watching the recording later.
But we should probably get going. Is there anything that you'd like to say, Amabel?
Nothing really. I think everybody said it earlier, but just to say it again, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, guys, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us on another live stream, and we look forward to seeing you again on the next and the next and the next live stream. And keep watching the videos. We are so happy to hear that you guys are enjoying the videos, and thank you for the love. And we also love you guys.
I just want to say sorry if I like kind of freaked everything out going off on that little bit, starting off like probably the first 20 minutes or so in talking about that more serious stuff. And I know that that's not always what you want to think about. It's not necessarily going to put you in the best place, but hopefully you're looking forward to Christmas or whatever you celebrate, if you celebrate anything. I know for many years I didn't celebrate it, but I'm really going full out this year. And we've done a little bit of Christmas shopping. We got some more Christmas shopping to do in the next week to week and a half. Although, like I said, I have to spend a lot of time working this week. So, but we got to make time for my Christmas shopping. And I think we have some fun videos coming up. I actually shot some, but I've been busy, and especially like if you end up doing shoots where you have long hours, boy, you're definitely not going to get any of that other stuff done, unfortunately. But we got lots of good stuff coming up for
Hopefully
you.
it won't be long hours though.
Stuff that's going to put a smile on your face.
Yes.
So, but we'll do this again soon. Check out the other recent videos that you might have missed, and we will see you soon. Have a good day, friends. All right.